In the previous video, I said that there's no past that exists, and so you cannot travel to the past either. But that raises the question of, are there any kinds of time travel that are possible, given now this theory of time that I'm presenting? Of course, we do travel into the future at 60 minutes per hour, but that's not the kind of time travel we are interested in when we talk about time travel. So what kinds of time travel would be physically possible given this theory of time? There are two possible scenarios. The first would be if every process in the universe started going in reverse, except from the body and mind of the time traveler, and possibly also a time machine then, if it was traveling in a time machine. Then it would not be the case that there's a 1960, for instance, somewhere that you can travel to, but it could be the case that time continues to move forwards when we talk about the timeline. And let's say the time traveler then travels for 1 hour into the future. Time will continue to move into the future, but the universe could reactualize the universe as it was in 1960, and then the time traveler could experience the universe as it was in 1960, but not because the traveler was in 1960. It would now be this year and this time plus 1 hour, but it would be as if it was 1960. That's the kind of traveling into the past that would be possible if my theory is correct. But I'm not saying that the universe will actually reverse itself, but that would have been physically possible. There are often in movies, etc., and different timelines, etc., but I can't make sense of that, and it gives you all sorts of logical inconsistencies that you could go back and kill your grandfather, etc. I think it's more realistic, as in the joke I saw recently, a person traveling 30 years into the future to find out what has happened in his life, and he learns that he's been missing the last 30 years, because I believe that there's one universe, and what exists now is what exists. It's not different timelines. It would be physically possible for the universe to split in two, and so there were two versions of you now, where different things happen, but it would still be one timeline, and then different things happening in different universes, but not different timelines. The other option, which is the most realistic one, since we have no reason to believe that the universe should start going in reverse, that is moving very fast, as we saw in the twin paradox, etc. The twin traveling could return, and then having become 6 years older biologically speaking, while the twin who was remaining at home was 10 years older. So that could happen, that if it was possible to move very, very fast, then a person could travel in a spaceship and feel that 3 years passed, and the body got 3 years older, but maybe 50 years had passed on Earth. People had become much, much older and had children, etc. So that would feel like traveling into the future. But in reality, what's happening is that your own biological processes are going more slowly. And since the general theory of relativity says that we can treat acceleration and gravity as equivalent, then also extreme gravitational contacts would have the same effect, and that you could only age very slowly compared to then the other people remaining on Earth. A third possibility that's often mentioned is the concept of wormholes. If you think of space-time as a four-dimensional entity, then maybe it could bend so that there could be a shortcut where you can travel through a wormhole and suddenly be way into the future, way into the past. And of course, since I have argued that we live in a three-dimensional world and only one timeline, only the present exists, then that doesn't make sense on my understanding of the world. If wormholes were possible, it would be then because the laws of nature reactualized or configured the universe in a different way that would feel as if you were traveling through a wormhole. We don't have any particular reason to believe that should be possible, but of course it would be the things that make physicists indicate the possibility of wormholes could be an indication, but I think it's because they think of this four-dimensional bending thing that I don't think exists. So I don't think that it's possible to travel through a wormhole. If it is possible to travel through a wormhole, I think it is because the laws of nature make it possible that the universe can re-actualize or reconfigure its what values are being actualized. So that would be a third possible way of traveling in time, if that's possible. But of these options, it's only number two that has any realism to it, because that has been, in small degrees, been verified by experiments. So that's the one kind of time travel we can think of as realistic. So that was my answer to the question of what kinds of time travel are possible.